excited today. We have special guest Marki Lemons joining us. She is a coach. She is a superstar in the real estate industry and an absolute delight to be around. I have been able to meet her in person multiple times and hang out and have incredible conversations. We're excited to have her as our featured speaker in today's mastermind. We also have Matt Kuchar joining us. Matt Kuchar was a broker in 2 states, if I understand correctly. You just actually got you sold the other one in Colorado, correct?
Yep.
He also is the owner of Showami and started Showami out of need for agents because he again was a broker and was not having the availability all the time. And we also have special guest Jarryd here to help ask any questions that he has of the two, to help facilitate our conversation today and to best really kind of bring to light some things. His question hits on the market, so we're really excited to hear about it. We also have two other questions. Unfortunately, those guests were unable to join us, so I personally will be answering those. Without further ado, Jarryd, take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, my biggest question was what I can do to continue to generate leads and be a top producing agent in the shifting market as things change. The market has slowed down. We've seen higher rates, but still at the office every day doing what I need to do to make calls and do follow-ups, but just wanted some more insight on that of what I can do to be productive and stay on top of things.
So, what I would highly recommend when interest rates are starting to go up, I'm going to actually take you back to when I purchased my first property, which was back in 1994. I was 24 years of age. It was a great deal. It was a 3 flat with a garden apartment, and my interest rate was 8.375. So, when we think about that interest rate, there is a population that an interest rate increase is not scary to them based on when they've purchased real estate in the past. So anyone who purchased real estate in the late 80s, 90s, probably up until right about 2004, this increase in interest rate is not a high interest rate to them. It is just higher than what they could buy money for in the past decade. With
Mm.
that being said, I highly recommend going in and looking at what the current trends are saying in your marketplace and in your MLS. We were at a big event the other day, and one of the gentlemen, he has a board up company. He does a lot of foreclosure business. And what he told someone in leadership is, I hope you are preparing your agents because the banks are getting ready to release all of these foreclosures. So, what I'm recommending to people is that one, they learn more about foreclosures and even potentially short sales. Now, when I say potentially short sales, up until a couple of months ago, I did not believe we were going to see short sales in this market. The reason I did not believe that we were going to see short sales in this market is because of the double-digit increase in property values over the last couple of years. So I honestly believe that everyone had equity. However, I am a member of a couple of private Facebook groups with rehabbers in them, and their constant complaint is the lack of craftsmanship over the last couple of years and the fact that there's a lot of deferred maintenance and a lot of shoddy work was done. Well, now I'm starting to think we might see some short sales because when a person is in a home and a notice of default has been filed, they're going to want to sell that property in as is condition. Well, as is condition has an as is value that might be lower than what the current market value is if it has a lot of deferred maintenance. So, what I would say do is start looking at those trends. Are you going to see foreclosures? Are you going to see short sales? And of course, a short sale would happen before the property becomes an REO. REO is an acronym for real estate owned, which means that the bank has acquired the property back and has the ability, the legal ability to now sell the property. So, always paying attention to what those trends are and where the market is getting ready to pivot. What actually changed my life was foreclosures and short sales. My husband drove me up to Appleton, Wisconsin in February of 2007 when I was 9 months pregnant, so that I could take what was then the SFR course from the National Association of Realtors, because everything told me we were going to see foreclosures and short sales. So I've been a really good predictor of this in the past. I think I'm going to be good this year, even though I'm telling you I shifted my viewpoint and why I shifted that viewpoint. One thing I also encourage agents to do is what I call is an 8x8, strategically reaching out to 8 people by 8 a.m., leveraging social media and technology, because people have told you all their business in real time. Matt, what would you like to add?
Yeah, I think all of that is exactly right. If you're looking at the trends, we're seeing some price reductions, we're seeing increases in inventory. So those are definitely going to be the opportunities. And you want to look at the market and see what is selling, right? In a market, even if you're down, say 20% from what it was last year, there's still 80% of the deals are getting done. What in your market is selling? Are they investment homes? Is it a specific neighborhood? Is it a specific price range? And then who? I think it's important to know who's buying homes. Who's going to buy these short sales and things like that. That's going to be typically an investor, or there's large real estate trusts. Getting partnerships and building relationships with companies and individuals that are going to do multiple deals can only help you, right? So get good at it, speak their language. Like Marki was saying, join these Facebook groups of, the real estate investment group of South Carolina, or, get to know them, go to their meetings, build relationships with them. That's going to help you to know, first of all, who's doing the transactions. And if they know, like, and trust you, they do some of the transactions with you, you'll pick up some of that business. But it's important to know what's selling, right? If the $1 million plus homes in your neighborhood are sitting there for 6 months, 9 months, that might not be what I'm going to work on. Maybe it's condos in a certain neighborhood that are still selling within a week. I want to know that information because I'm going to go after those listings. So that's some of the advice that I would definitely have.
I'm I'm going to add to that what I'm consistently telling my agents. There are 3 things that we want to look at. I want to look at the rate of sale, the price point, and the barriers to entry. And so to me, you're looking for that great combination of 3 things, right? One, I could care less how high the price point is if nothing is selling. So that's why I'm going to look at, okay, what's the rate of sale and how do I couple it with the highest price point if I have a choice between 3 to 4 communities? And then if I can narrow that down to, let's say, 2 communities, now I want to look at the barriers of entry. Uh, an example would be in the city of Chicago, we have aldermen that are right under the mayor. Well, there's one top producing agent who's married to an alderman in the community that she happens to dominate. To me, that is a humongous barrier to entry, right? So if I had to narrow it down to the 2 communities, right, I wouldn't try to be her competition because she is a barrier to entry as long as her husband is an alderman there, because she knows everyone, everything, and her husband even has political capital right in that community. So, rate of sale, price point, and barriers to entry, and decide, where are you right now, but what will be your next niche or niche that you plan to own.
So Jarryd, how long have you been licensed in your market?
I'm going on my 4 year now.
Okay. And I'm assuming that you've got some deals under your belt.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've had
Okay.
8 closings this year.
Good job. Awesome.
job.
All right. And where did those deals come from?
A few came from realtor.com that we partnered with, and then I built some rapport. A few were referrals, family, friends, and then we pay for leads that come in through our CRM, so I work those as well.
Okay. So I like that about what you're doing. You're getting leads from multiple sources, right? The one
Yes.
thing that we never want to do is to rely on one thing, because if that one thing dries up, all your business dries up. So you've got your sphere, you've got past clients now, you've got realtor.com. I know OpCity is one. Is OpCity and Realtor. Are they the same, or are they?
Yes, Op City. So I just referred to them as realtor because some people
Okay.
are familiar with that. So Op
Good.
City, good.
So as long as you're generating leads, and are you still seeing, inquiries and leads coming into you?
Yes, I mean, not as much, but they are still coming in.
Okay. So one of the things that I'm coaching, like some of the agents that I work with, as far as like in my brokerage and stuff like that, is being efficient with what you've got, right? So if you've got a smaller number that are coming in, we have to work on conversion, and we have to work on how can I make the most efficient use of that lead. So, and let me give you some examples. Have you had anybody go like, oh, I need to rent, I can't buy anymore? Have you had that objection or anything like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now there are companies like Divvy Homes that basically are rent to own properties. So these people might not be able to buy right now because they've been priced out of the market with the interest rates and stuff like that. But companies like Divvy Homes will buy the home, let the person rent it for 2-3 years with the understanding that after 3 years, they're going to buy that. You sell the home, they still get to pick it, just like they would in a regular transaction. When they close, you still get paid a commission. So now you're taking somebody who would have been a renter and you're turning them into a sale. They're still renting, but
Yes,
you're helping that person, and you're also helping the company. Everybody wins. I also ask people like, hey, do you own a business? Pretty soon you could, if you look at every lead and you go, okay, are they renting? Do they have other family members, friends? And you could get referrals from them. You can ask them if they own commercial real estate or if they own a business and they're looking to buy or sell their business. Now you can turn that into a referral for a commercial person and make a referral off of that. It's just conversion and being efficient, wringing every little thing you can out of each and every lead that you've got, and looking for the opportunities. The opportunities are there if you're focused on it and you're thinking strategically, like, okay, how do I best help this person, and what opportunities are there with them?
absolutely.
Awesome. Jarryd, do you have any follow-up questions? Anything you'd like for our speakers to kind of elaborate a little bit more on?
One question I would have is, as far as the foreclosures and things like that, what would be a good way to take advantage as we see more of those on the market, or the REOs and things, short sales?
So let me give you that. I have a story for everything, right? So the way that I became the queen of foreclosures is because I was a rehabber and I was having big problems getting inventory to rehab. So I started to send direct mail pieces to homeowners where a notice of default had been filed. When I would show up at their house, I was really going to their house to attempt to buy the house. In my state, that meant that I had to give them a notice of no agency. I did not want them to think that I was there to be their agent. I was actually there to acquire their property. Once I gave them the notice of no agency and they signed it, then I told them, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I broke the numbers down. This is why I'm buying your house. This is the rate of return that I'm looking for. If these numbers do not suit you, I am also a licensed real estate broker and I can help you sell your house. Every last one of those people listed their home with me because they appreciated my honesty about how much money I would make off of their home. Okay. But I always was going in there self-serving. So because I was self-serving, I had to give them a notice stating that I was not there to represent them. That is going to be state specific. So then when we started to see all of these short sales, I just continued to do my direct mail campaign. What I would recommend that you're going to do is you're going to look up the foreclosure statute of your state. What I know is that in the state of Illinois, we have a judicial foreclosure process, and that by statute is a minimum of 7 months from the time the notice of default is filed. That meant to me, I had 7 months to send those homeowners a direct mail piece. Let me tell you what worked, what didn't work. The yellow, ugly, generic, two-sided postcards and the red ones worked wonders. The cute, glossy one with my picture on it did not work well at all. So I would recommend a generic postcard. And I sent postcards versus sending mail because when I would go to a homeowner's home, they would always have a stack of mail in a plastic bag, like your grocery store bag, and they hadn't opened the mail. So they tend to be scared to open mail. But my postcard was in there because I continued to mail to that same list consecutively for the 7 months. So what would I do different today? Because keep in mind, that was well over a decade ago. I would still do the direct mail in the same manner I did it before. However, in addition to that, what I would do now is I would interview attorneys, lenders via Facebook Live, giving out resources with a call to action to a landing page in order to get them to sign up for a checklist. So I would still do direct mail, especially for any listings, not just people where a notice of default has been filed, but I would now rebrand myself as, short sale knowledgeable, unless you earn a designation or certification. And I would interview other experts in my marketplace to discuss foreclosures and short sales and repurpose that video content.
It's really good.
So Jarryd, of the deals that you did, how many were buyers and how many were sellers?
So I've strictly been working as a buyer's agent. At this point, after 12 transactions, I would start doing more training with listing and working with sellers. So after the end of October, I should have that. I have 4 pending deals, so that would put me where I need to be. But under my team, that's how we set it up. Start as a buyer's agent, and then after 12 transactions, work with sellers and learn that process.
Okay. And so if you found a buyer on your own, would they let you work it?
So I actually had that situation. I have a buyer under contract now that has a home to sell. So I was able to go to that presentation with my team leader to sit down and go through that process. But I'm hoping at the next time that does happen, yes, I would be able to be involved and do the presentation myself.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know your team structure or anything like that. Definitely the most efficient side of the transaction is going to be the listing side.
Yes, sir.
So the sooner you can transition from buyer to both, you don't want to leave what you're doing, what's working, what's making you some money. You definitely want to move into the seller side. That would be good, and being able to work both sides. Okay, that's helpful.
Yes, sir.
Marki.
Yep. No, I don't have any. Well, let me say what I would do. I would also go and earn the ABR, which is the accredited buyer representative. One thing to start thinking about now that you're in a team structure, is what are going to be changes to real estate in the next 18 months around compensation. I tell every agent, definitely focus on the listing side, but if you're still going to work with buyers, the ABR as a designation would be beneficial to you because it teaches you how to execute exclusive buyer representation agreements with offers of compensation. And those might be some of the changes we see nationally over the next 12 to 18 months.
Would that be as far as compensation directly from the buyer?
Yes.
ABR.
Yeah, the accredited buyer representative. And in that class, it's all about buyer representation. And the reason that I mention that class is because I became a broker. I was never a sales agent. And I decided that it was a good idea that I should also open my own company. And it wasn't until I was going to schedule a showing for my first property that I came to realize I didn't know anything. when they told me that I needed to have, when they asked me for my MLS ID number. So when I show up at the association and they're asking me for almost $1,200 for my local dues, my state dues, my national dues, my one-time MLS setup, and my annual MLS fees, I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know you. I don't know none of these people on this sheet of paper. I've never heard of you. And I made a smart aleck comment, and I said, well, I'm glad this is the only check I have to write you. And the lady says, oh, no, sweetheart, if you want your MLS access, you'll be writing a check that looks like this every single year. Mind you, I just paid today $1,199 to Chicago realtors. So when they said that, I realized at that moment, the pre-license course does not teach us how to sell real estate. The pre-license course gives us the opportunity to learn how to sell real estate. And so the ABR was the first designation that I took upon earning my license. And one of the reasons I believe that I'm still standing and standing strong is because I took that course, and it just basically validated the fact that the pre-license course didn't teach me anything, and that I should become an active lifelong learner to keep up with all the changes to real estate, and keeping in mind, you'll hear me say in the state of Illinois, because what I know is that your state has different licensing rules and regulations. And I want you to research what I'm saying. What does that mean in your location? And so the accredited buyer representative designation by far is it's what it's my foundation.
Jarryd, have you been able to get any designations or take any of the NAR courses?
Yes. I mean, when I first started, there was a NAR certification I had to do.
Awesome.
Which one did you do? Do you recall?
I don't remember the name.
Yeah.
I know there was a new one that I was notified about recently.
Yep. And the PSA is also a good one, but just, being involved, being a lifelong learner. And if you don't want to invest in designations and certifications, I tell everybody I also have a PhD from YouTube University, but then you have to also make sure, how do those rules line up with your state?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I think lifelong learners, it's true. Like, and that goes across all industries and across everything. We should always be, grab like 5 or 6 podcasts that you have on rotation, right? Everybody should, in real estate, almost all should have some kind of sales, some kind of motivational, something that kind of gets you up and running, or reminds you, hey, yes, I'm up and breathing today, and it's a great day. 2 or 3 real estate podcasts that you have on rotation. Most of them only go out once a week, so those are always super helpful. I know Marki actually runs a podcast, so it's pretty cool to listen to hers. But yeah, so I think we've covered a lot of this. We're going to go ahead and jump into the next question. The next question that we have is, what is the best steps to go about branding yourself? The person is having trouble with it. They want to integrate their staging business and their unique capabilities.
Okay. So when I start thinking about before you brand yourself, I want people to identify who their target market is. So I'm a 5th generation entrepreneur. My family owns Chicago's second oldest Black restaurant. We've been in business since 1954 and have sold more pork rib tips than anyone. At one point, I was bringing our barbecue sauce, our meat rub, and our hot links to the market. Now, mind you, before I even went into the family business, I had already taught on a collegiate level and had an undergrad degree in hospitality management and a master's degree in business administration. But before I secured shelf space or anything, I went through a program called the Women's Self-Employment Project, where I had to go in and do a new business plan and studies and all sorts of things I didn't have to do coming into an existing business, but I had to do it in order to be able to get shelf space with Jules, which I was able to secure. So I'm saying that because that has been the foundation to everything that I've done since, right? Understanding who that target audience is, because a lot of times we have, and I'm not saying they're not great ideas, but the question is, will it build a sustainable business? And the only way we're going to know if it can be a sustainable business is if we do market research and understand that target audience first. So before you attempt to start branding and marketing, one, I want to know how many people use staging. I want to sit down and I want to do a cost analyst. And here's why. I came into real estate as a licensed loan originator. I then became a real estate broker. The reason I became a real estate broker is because I was looking at my business plan. I had the license, but I wasn't doing anything with it. This is before I found out the course hadn't taught me how to sell real estate. And so when I decided to make the shift, it was because I would earn more money per transaction doing the same amount of work, right? And so a lot of times we do things, but we don't have a foundation or the numbers to say that we should do it. So once you have the support and you understand who's that person most likely going to get their home stage, the question is, do you even have market share there? Because now you're going to need to totally rebrand. Okay. And if they said that they met us at a conference, what does that company say about your other businesses? There's some things, rules and regulations you have to make sure that you adhere to. And you have to first go back to the company or franchise you're affiliated with and look at what their branding guidelines are for what it is that you can and cannot do. Now that you have an idea of who you're going to do business with, I would say use Canva. Canva has this color palette generator, but it also tells you what colors mean, what fonts mean. Like they're very, Canva has totally repositioned their company as being our number one, the entrepreneur's number one business tool. So it will help you with your brand color, your brand font. I will tell you, if you're doing research and you realize that your audience is generally going to be over the age of 40, you do not want to use cute scripted fonts. You want to use a nice bold font because a lot of people, a large percentage of people who start wearing bifocals and readers are over the age of 40. So you want to make sure that they can see what it is that you're trying to sell them on. And so I would definitely then leverage Canva and its color palette. I think you can just go to canva.com/colors and you will see numerous resources that you can use in your business to help you build a cohesive brand. But it's going to have to start with the market research, taking the time and creating a business plan because you want to bring that staging in. And what does that pricing look like? Is there going to be a special you offer if you list the property? Things of that nature.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we use Canva all the time with Showami. It's like one of our number one tools, even in my real estate business. I mean, it's so easy. And I remember I thought one of your podcasts, you mentioned these Canva creators, which I think is brilliant, right? If you're not good at Canva, like there are people that you can hire for $60 and they'll give you, 10 different templates and that you can use over and over again. And I also want to add in, like anytime you're doing marketing, do some A/B testing, so you're going to try your message here, try your message, make sure that you're getting the highest and best use of what you're doing. Test it out on your sphere, people who already know you, like you, trust you, but I think if you're going to try to incorporate your staging, you don't want to confuse the two, right? Are you a realtor or are you a stager? Or are you a realtor who offers staging as part of your services? You have to be really clear because people will get confused. Like, which are you? I think you can incorporate it, but definitely want to be clear, and you want to test that message, make sure it's getting out to that target audience. Like we were talking with Jarryd, knowing who it is that you're going after, who's going to be your target market.
Yeah, I absolutely. As a marketing professional, I couldn't agree more with the both of you. I also now it's my turn. I guess I get to chime in to some things. But I also worry when I see somebody trying to do split branding at the same time when they haven't established one of their brands. Really, really important is to do your best to establish one brand as the dominant brand, at least to start. You can then start branding yourself in different manners. But I'm really, really big on the fact that you've got to have a foundation for your brand. You have to have a message. You have to know that market really well, and then you can go from there. I think that's super important, is to build, again, that cornerstone for both brands to grow off of, especially when you have something that actually leans a little bit on your other brand, right? So we were talking, the agent was talking about staging and being an agent. Really, your staging kind of leans a little bit on you as an agent to grow, and vice versa. Eventually, you could have a full staging business that leans a little bit more on you as an agent. But really, the foundation has to be set. You got to kind of pick where it's a brand and where your energy is spent. Trying to spend your energy on two different brands, it's a lot. It would take many, many hours. It would take much, much income to try and grow both brands. It's a lot to split your energy. And so focusing on one, and then really, once you've got that nice solid foundation, then start introducing the second brand.
I also think so, as a real estate agent who's used, I totally believe in staging, right? Like I've seen the difference between a home that's staged and one that's not staged, and the value. So like I believe wholeheartedly in it. But me as an agent, would I prefer to have a stager who just does staging, or would I want a stager who's also an agent, that, maybe I'm intimidated. I mean, I'm pretty secure. I'd probably be fine with that. But you don't want your customers, who are probably agents who are going to refer you staging business, to also see you as competition on the listing. So I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal, but it's something just to kind of consider as you are thinking about doing both. So
Matt, that's a great point. So then the question is, who are you going to do staging for? Because if other licensees know that you're licensed, the likelihood is they are not going to refer you their staging business. I mean, that's just not what they're going to do. And I will say this, if I was thinking about those top 5 to 10 stagers in our marketplace, they're not licensed, or we don't know that they have a license. So staging is definitely the focal point of their business. And you might want to, definitely take that into consideration.
That's a very valid point. All right. We'll jump into our last question. What does taking webinars and seminars from companies that tell you about REO companies actually help you to get any closer to becoming a listing broker with any REO company?
I'll answer, or I'll start. So taking webinars and seminars actually give you the language to talk about, okay? However, no, it is not going to help you. And let me give you a little background here. When I became the queen of foreclosures, we did acquire 5 master listing agreements. We were doing a lot of REO business. It was not because of any webinars or seminars that we took. It was because we built relationships with the person, and the title could be different today, but like their VP of business development. Now, at the time, I had financially lost everything. So I wasn't able to go to like the 5-Star Institute events or any of that. I actually leveraged LinkedIn and blogging to build rapport with the right person who essentially could put you in a position to get a master listing agreement. One thing is that a lot of people try to go after the asset manager. The asset manager does manage the assets for the REO companies, but they're not the person who would ensure that you receive a master listing agreement. You want to start looking at the titles of who is responsible for business development from those companies. Okay. And then when we got our Fannie Mae account, it was because it was a licensed broker who went to go work for Fannie Mae who decided to come back to real estate. She knew all the ins and outs and had connections, and we secured that master listing agreement. So you're going to have to build rapport with those key individuals, but it will not be with the asset manager. Actually, they're highly protected inside of the companies that they work for, because everyone thinks that they have the ability to assign assets, and that is not their job. As an asset manager, they're managing the asset on behalf of the REO company, but not the person who would ensure that a realtor receives those listings. But I will say this, now you'll have the language. They'll understand that if you send them an email or you're talking to them face to face, because they're going to do business with people who have not necessarily a provocative REO record, but that they have a strong track record. Okay. Because generally when REOs hit, they come in waves. You have some companies who've always done REOs in your marketplace. I can probably rattle off 10 in the Chicago area who've always done them. But then that means they're going to be inundated, and there's going to be a need for new brokers in the Chicago area. You definitely need to have company reserves, because some companies ask, back in the day, it was like $5,000 per something. So we had to show that our company had strong reserves, because we had to actually put out money, and then we were reimbursed money based on certain elements. So does your company have any money, right? Another thing, even though you won't be assigned their REOs, but most people start doing BPOs, which is broker price opinions on assets that they believe will become an REO. So I would say, I'm going to give another designation here. Take the PSA, the Price and Strategy Advisor from the National Association of Realtors, which initially was the BPOR course for the National Association of Realtors. But when the market shifted, they changed the name because they knew that we still needed to have a price and strategy course. So take that course, understand the language, sign up for BPOs, and then the title inside of the company, look for business development, something in that area would be the person that you want to build a relationship with by educating them and being a resource.
All right, Matt, what you got?
I remember I tried really hard to get into the REO business. I did the BPOs. I took those. At that time they were selling this class at different designations where you spend $500 and they get you in front of all these people, and that these asset managers, and they promised a lot of stuff. And I went after this. Like, I can't tell you how many of these asset managers I took out to lunch, and tried to build these relationships, and I never got a single one. So I think, but I didn't do it like what Marki is telling. I didn't have those connections. I didn't teach myself to understand the language, and I just kind of dabbled at it. So yeah, I definitely do what Marki said. Don't follow what I did. It didn't work for me. And I also think you have to be really good at it and leverage your relationships. Marki is a master relationship person, right? So it's, in all business, it tends to be who who knows who you know. And so you've got to be really good at that, in asking them, like, what do you need? How can I help you? How can I serve you? What, without asking anything in return. And eventually you're gonna move into that. But I think a lot of people are seeing the potential of, more foreclosures coming on the market. As we head into a potential recession, you could see more and more people who are going to be struggling to make payments. Are going to be higher unemployment. So those are some of the things. So it's important to pay attention. Where's that business going to come from? I think another one that, so my wife is in property management for short-term rental management. And so during the pandemic, right after it, like we never had a season. Like from the time that COVID hit on, they were always full, like summer, winter. Like I'm in Florida, so they're always, everybody comes down here January, February, and March. So filling up a short-term rental during those months, easy peasy, right? And then after COVID, we were full all the time because people were just like, I just got to get out. Let me go someplace where I can get away. We noticed this year, and especially the last 2 months, August and September, the most vacancies that we've seen. So you have all of these people who jumped into the short-term rental, VRBO, Airbnb, and there's a lot of them that have jumped into this. So you have a lot of inventory. You have maybe fewer people using them. And so there's an opportunity there where those people might be hurting, right? Like if you got to make that monthly payment and ain't nobody renting it, what are you going to do? So, that's another area that I would join, like, short-term management groups and Facebook and stuff like that. And there's business, there's a couple of ways to make money off of that. Not just, I know we were talking REOs. I'm sorry, I've gotten off on this tangent, but you could turn those into long-term rentals. You could sell them. You could be getting into short sales eventually, depending on how much equity and when they bought the thing. So again, that's being efficient with the lead, looking for what you want, what's selling, where's the pain point, who's going to be hurting, and who's going to be needing to sell. Marki and I were even talking about the divorce market before, we got on that. Maybe that's a market that you're going to focus on, but all right, I'm rambling.
Well, Matt, I didn't think you were rambling, because what I'm hearing is in the VRBO market, right, or the short-term rental, we're going to see notice of defaults. So I thought that tied right back into the whole foreclosure short sale market, where now all of those people who acquired, and think about it, those who bought in the past 2 years bought at the highest price point, right?
Yep.
And some of them threw a lot of cash to be able to buy. So they've exhausted their cash, right? And those might be prime, because the question is that property worth what they actually paid for it?
Right.
So I could
Absolutely.
definitely, to me, that's a niche, right? Inside of the foreclosure short sale market.
Yeah. How do you speak their language? What pain points can you solve? If in any case, when people are feeling pain, if you can come and solve that pain, I mean, that's what a dentist does, right? Sticks that needle in your tooth. Oh, that hurts. Oh, let me take care of it. That's what you're doing for these people who have these short-term rentals. And it's not all of them, but what happened was you had this huge, people were making so much money because there weren't many people doing it. But then you have this huge surge of people like, hey, I'm making 15, 20, 30% return on investment. So everybody jumped into it. It's super popular. And then, right after COVID, everybody's using it. So they're all like, yeah, I'm making money. So they tell all their friends, now all their friends buy them. Well, eventually there's going to be an equilibrium in the market, right? Supply and demand. And eventually, if supply outstrips demand, what they're going to do is they're going to have to start lowering rents to compete, just because I'd rather make something than make nothing. And they just chase the market down. And that's what we're seeing right now in Southwest Florida, where they're constantly, in the past, they did the people would come in and they wouldn't ask for any discounts, right? They're like, hey, can you give me 15, 20% discount? And they're like, no, we're 100% booked. We're fine. Now they're like, yeah, we'll give you that 15, 20%. We'll give you 30% just to get somebody in over a weekend or a week, because it's better than being vacant. When I see that, and again, this is just the beginning, right? What's it going to be like in 2023, 2024, if you have higher unemployment, fewer people doing it? Anyway, and this is a local market. It's going to be different in different areas, but anyway.
Yeah,
That was
going
good.
on.
Enough. All right. Thank you, everybody. So real quick, we're going to do, if anybody has any closing comments, things they want to quickly push out there, is like, hey, I know we didn't cover this topic, but I'd love to give this little tidbit out. You've got a solid 2 minutes to do it. I know I'm throwing you both on the spot, but I know you're both very professional and great at doing this. So Marki, 2-minute quick tip, what you got?
I'm going to end with what I always end with. Technology will never replace an agent, but an agent with technology will replace an agent without technology. However, technology should be utilized based on your business plan. So we still have to put that research in to understand our markets and what technology we should use in order to attract and retain.
Awesome. Matt?
So I'm actually going to shoot a question over to Jarryd. So Jarryd, what one takeaway from today's meeting do you have? What one actionable item do you think you can go and apply to your business?
Basically just going back to the fact that you said know what homes are selling and who are buying these homes. So the market may have slowed down, but there are houses that are being sold. To find out who are buying these properties and what price point can I focus on to continue to grow my business.
Love it. That's, to me, that's priceless, right? Because that's what I'm listening. I've learned constantly. I'm listening to Marki's podcast. I'm listening to, health, wealth, fitness, all kinds of different things, and definitely a lot in real estate. If I can take away one thing, it was worth my time. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for everybody listening, this is, stay positive out there. As much as we're seeing a decline, that doesn't mean that it's gone away. There are still people out buying homes. Are you the one that's out there selling it? That's key. Figure it out. Figure out who's buying, like we talked about earlier, what they're buying, and be in front of them. I do want to thank our special guest here, Marki Lemons. She, like I said, she is a coach. She is a speaker. She has so many accreditations and certifications, an incredible person to get to know. As Showami goes, we are excited to announce that she will be offering coaching in our platform as well. So be on the lookout. That is coming here in October. We'll be releasing a couple different free courses from Marki. And then from there, you can choose if you'd like to continue on the journey with Marki and have her coaching you through your real estate journey. Matt, thank you again so much for joining us. We're so excited to continue to see Showami grow. And Jarryd, thanks for being a guest today on our Mastermind. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Stay safe, Florida.